Welcome. There's a massive difference between a goal you simply have to set and a goal that you're actually genuinely excited about. One is about compliance. The other, well, that's about real transformation. Let's get into it.
So let's just start with the most important question right off the bat. Seriously, if you as the leader aren't fired up about the direction you're heading, how on earth can you expect your team to be? Your own excitement isn't some nice-to-have bonus. It's the absolute starting line.
All right, first up, let's talk about a problem I think we've all seen. Goals that just feel like an obligation. You know the ones, they're totally missing that essential spark.
It happens all the time, right? Goals get handed down from on high, metrics have to be met, and before you know it, leadership just becomes a box-ticking exercise. All the focus shifts to the what, and we completely forget about the why. And that is the exact environment where inspiration goes to die.
This quote just nails it perfectly. See, just being in motion isn't the same thing as making progress. Without that excitement, that kind of magnetic pull, you're just creating activity. You're not providing that clear, compelling direction that makes a team actually want to follow you.
And here's the thing, that lack of inspiration doesn't just stay bottled up with the leader. Nope, it creates a domino effect, a disengagement cascade that ripples right through the entire organization.
Let me tell you about Isabel, Senior VP. On paper, her plans were flawless. Perfect systems, beautiful dashboards, the works. But her team felt totally disconnected. Her own energy was in the tank, and the results, they were slipping. The problem wasn't that she was bad at her job. She was incredibly competent. The issue was a total lack of passion.
And Isabel is definitely not alone. The scale of this problem is, well, it's pretty staggering. A 2023 Gallup survey found that only 34% of managers feel genuinely engaged by the goals they're supposed to be pursuing. That means almost 2/3 of leaders are just going through the motions. And a number like that has some pretty serious consequences. When a leader is disengaged, it trickles down, and it just kills team morale. It hits productivity hard, and ultimately it means your best people start looking for the exit. It's a predictable and really costly chain reaction.
So this really forces us to ask a big question about what a leader's job truly is. It's not just to give orders, it's to generate the emotional energy that fuels the work. It's about making that shift from simply directing to truly inspiring.
I absolutely love this metaphor. You can push your team harder, you can demand more, but if the goal itself is uninspired, you're basically trying to light a fire with wet logs. It's just never going to catch. You'll get a lot of smoke, a lot of frustration, but you will never, ever get a real flame. Exactly. A spreadsheet full of numbers might tell you what the target is, but it's not going to create any momentum. It's the why behind those numbers, the meaning, the purpose, that gets a team fired up to chase after something big.
Okay, so enough about the problem. How do we actually fix this? How do we reconnect our goals to that sense of purpose and excitement? Let's take a look at a practical framework designed to do just that.
So this framework gives you real tools for these common challenges. For instance, if your goals feel meaningless, the answer is to re-anchor them in your values, in your vision. Connect that quarterly sales number back to how you're actually changing a customer's life. Or if you're struggling with consistency, you can build momentum with things like an app and a habit tracker to reinforce those small daily wins. And we all know about energy-draining meetings, right? Well, if you use a calculator to see the actual time and money being wasted, you're forced to reclaim that time for work that actually matters. It's about having a real toolkit for the real roots of disengagement.
And you know what's so cool? There's actual brain science behind why this works. This isn't just some feel-good idea. When we go after goals that genuinely excite us, our brains release dopamine. That's the chemical that fuels our motivation, our persistence, and it even sharpens our decisions. So finding that inspiration isn't a soft skill, it's a measurable productivity strategy.
All right, now it's time to turn the lens on ourselves. Let's do a quick diagnostic to see if your goals are actually sparking excitement or just checking off a box on a list. Okay, be honest with yourself here. When you think about your number one professional goal for this quarter, what's your gut reaction? Is it a feeling of obligation, a pressure, maybe just meh? Or do you feel a genuine jolt of energy at the thought of achieving it?
I think this next one is a fantastic way to think about it. If your team's goals were a movie, what genre would they be? Are you asking your team to sit through a slow, boring documentary? Or are you inviting them on an epic adventure with high stakes and a thrilling mission? The kind of story you tell matters.
And finally, how do you react to risk? Your answer here is really telling.
An inspired leader sees a creative risk not as a threat to be managed, but as an exciting possibility, a real chance to innovate and break new ground.
Let's wrap this all up with this incredibly powerful statement. This is the bottom line, right here. Setting targets and managing timelines, that's administration. But igniting a shared desire in people to achieve something meaningful, that is leadership.
So that's the thought I'll leave you with. Take a hard look at your goals and your own energy. Are you truly leading, or are you just administrating? Because the answer to that question defines everything. Thanks for watching.